What's up, chumbags? It's your girl Alexa, and today we're going to be talking about Furies of Calderon. So, that is, of course, my next book. If you watched my previous review of Bride, this is the one that my husband selected for me. So, we're actually going to have a special guest in a moment at the start of this video. But before that, I wanted to give a brief introduction and a little bit of catch up on what I've been up to. So I have listened to 3 audiobooks since I finished Bride. One was The Dream Guy Next Door, which I did a little short reviewing, and then I was planning on doing shorts reviewing the other 2, but I was busy and didn't, and now it's been too long. So I'm just going to quickly say Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes. Really enjoyed it. Second book by her I've read, and I like her style of writing. Very fun. And then the other book I read was Finders Keepers, which is the second book in the Bill Hodges trilogy by Stephen King. Absolutely freaking adored it. The end note of that book, I need to read the third one or listen to the third one, because I listened to Mr. Mercedes end of last year. It's like, I think the last book I read of 2024, and now I've listened to it again near the end of this year, so maybe I'll do the third one end of next year. That'll be my my 3-year plan. But for today, we're gonna be talking about Furies of Calderon, and in perfect timing, my husband is here to make his cameo appearance, because he said he had some things he wanted to talk about why he recommended this book. So please enter.
Hold on, I already did my
Why weren't you ready? What the fuck is this? I timed my intro perfectly for you arriving here, so I couldn't edit this. All right, now I have to edit. And now seamlessly, moments later, my husband is here to give his thoughts on why he recommended Furies of Calderon to me. He got this book quite a while ago. It took me a bit to get to it finally. And the only thing I really know about is by Jim Butcher, who's known for writing the Dresden Files. And we do own the first Dresden Files, so neither of us have read that. And I'll probably read the rest of this series before I read any of his other works, besides maybe a spin-off Spider-Man novel, because that seems interesting. But, yeah, why did you recommend Furies of Calderon, book 1 of the Codex Alera, to me?
You know, I think there is some context here that people need to understand, and that is that whenever I recommend a book to Alexa, there's always something else to it. I recommended her one book, and then at the end of the book, she realized it was a Star Wars fan fiction.
What?
So, you know,
I'm still upset about that.
There's
still upset.
There's strong choices. Now, here's the thing: you knew nothing about the Codex Alera series, right? The Codex Alera,
Nope,
I think
not a thing. Yep, you're right.
And so this is I like to watch a lot of writer interviews. And one of the things that I heard that made me want to recommend this to you is essentially, let's see. After the success of the Dresden Files, Butcher returned to the traditional fantasy genre with his second series, Codex Alera. The series chronicles the life of a young man named Tavi on the Calderon Valley of Alera, on the world of Karna, and the people of Alera are grown complacent with the trappings of the Empire. Basically, hold on, let's skip all this. Okay, here we go.
A lot.
So essentially, the inspiration for the series came from a bet that Butcher was challenged to by a member of the Del Rey Online Writers Workshop. The challenger bet that Butcher could not write a good story based on a lame idea. The lame idea that he had.
Okay.
And then he countered by saying that he could use 2 lame ideas if the challenger wanted, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said that they combined 2 lame ideas, and it was the Lost Roman Legion and Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. That's
okay. I can see it. I can see both of those. I did not think of either of those while I was reading this,
which is a good thing, a testament to how it was written.
That's so fascinating. Now I need you to read this. I need you to read this now to be able to fully understand like how much that's crazy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like I need you to read this. Okay. You can read it in a weekend.
The only problem is I don't know how to read.
Mm-hmm. Take it with you to India.
Yeah, I put it under my pillow. If someone comes at me, I can just
mm-hmm. Wow, that's insane. Wow, I do kind of wish I learned that at the end of my review. I didn't think you were gonna give me such world-shattering comments there. Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay. Well, back to me. Bye now. That really changes my whole perspective on the book. I'm not gonna lie. really intriguing that the ideas were the Roman Legion and Pokemon, and I completely see it. I think that honestly, it's a showcase of his creativity and ingenuity to be able to take something like that and turn it into this. Obviously, I've only read the first one, and you can kind of tell what the course of the story is going to go because obviously Tavi is our main character. It does switch perspectives throughout the book, but it's clearly Tavi is he's our guy. And how the names of the book kind of showcase the arc he's going to follow. Because like I'll wait to go into spoilers in a moment and give at least my brief thoughts before I go into full spoiler talk. But yeah, it that really shook me. I had my thoughts all planned up and now they're like all jumbled. But I will say this, even though this took me a little bit to read, it wasn't that long, honestly, and I absolutely loved it. Like I'd have like 2 weeks where I wouldn't read it, and then I would read like 100 pages in 2 days. Like it's such a good book that when you pick it up, you don't want to put it down. The only reason it took me so long was just I've been busy and I didn't have enough times to pick it up. But every time I did pick it up, it was always like, oh, I need to read the next chapter. And it ends on so many cliffhangers and it jumps between perspectives throughout the book, which I'm a fan of that for fantasy novels. And obviously that's another comparison to Wheel of Time, where it kind of jumps between perspectives. Like you're in different people's views throughout it while all staying third person the entire time. It still like, gives you their outlook on it. And you can always tell whose perspective you are reading from, even though there's no like, it doesn't say who it is, it just says the chapter name, and then normally their name will be like the first thing of that chapter, like Amara had never been so cold. um Something like that, to like, you really easily know. Another, I was trying to find a different one, but then I went to another Amara chapter. She has a fair amount of chapters. Yeah, she's also definitely an important character, and that's what happened, Tavi said. And so then that's his perspective. Like, so it does a good job of subtly like telling you, like, it's not subtle, it's right there in the first sentence, but instead of just being titled like their name, it's just the first sentence lets you know who your perspective is. And there's even one time where there's like 2 paragraphs, one person's perspective, and then it switched to a different person's perspective, and there's no transition really there. There's just like a slight gap, and then it said Fidelius, and then you're like, oh, okay, we're with Fidelius now. My biggest compliment I can say about this is the characters. I loved all of the characters in this, and even the ones I hated, I really liked as characters. Like Cord, piece of shit, but his character was really well written, and I enjoyed his character in that regard of how much I disliked him. Like a few others as well, I wasn't a big fan of them. Like as a person, no thank you, don't want to know you, but as a character they were so fascinating, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And that lends itself really well to the voice of the character. Like, it does switch between, and I wouldn't say like each person are super unique, but you never forget who you're reading as. Even if I ended in the middle of a chapter, like I know what perspective I'm from right away. Mixture of how it's written and the voice that he did give to each character, I think applies to that, to be able to make it so easy to know who you're reading from at that moment. Whose perspective are you seeing? Okay, I want to talk spoilers. So here is my official spoiler warning for everyone. If you've not read it yet, skip ahead to my final thoughts, or just go read it and then come back. Either one works, because it is a really good book, so I would recommend it highly. So now just kind of going into spoilers, I'm going to talk a bit more freely, specifically some characters. So obviously Cord, piece of shit. Another character that kind of exemplifies my like of the characters, and this I think is one of the only characters' names I am forgetting right now, and I thought I had it in my head. That's Daroga. It's before that. Daroga's amazing. I love the character of Daroga. Giraldi, great character. Perilous. That's his name. Perilous. I always kept thinking Princep, but that's like the leader's a Princep. That's like a term, a title, not a name. So Perilous, which Perilous, amazing name. Can we just say for a second? It is, of course, it's spelled, maybe it's Perilous. The names are very Roman sounding, now that I know that as well. Which I didn't really think of before. Like a lot of these Legionnaires names are very Romanesque, like Peerless. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing the name now. I was pronouncing it Perilous as I read it because I think that's fun, but it's spelled Pirellus. Yeah, I don't know. I mispronounce names often as I read. Like I remember back when I read the Kane Chronicles, whenever those came out, I pronounced her name as Sadie for the entire time I read it, and then my dad was like, "No, that name is Sadie," and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds better than Sadie for sure." But Perilous. I'm gonna keep calling him Perilous because I like that pronunciation of it. He was kind of like a douche, like, very arrogant, like, but he was really good at what he did. And I loved, and this may be something, I haven't read that many like true fantasy books in my life, like adult fantasy. And so that could be part of that. And like the only other key one I've read recently would be The Wheel of Time, which is a very different style. These are characters are like farmers who's going in, and like, so this specific thing I noticed a lot in this book wouldn't have applied as much to that, besides maybe with like Land's character. But I love the Legionnaires and like the top form people in this. Like, they're fighting and stuff during the battle at the end is described as like so lazy. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, there's a scene where I know Amara is talking to like Giraldi, and he's like the commander of the army, so he's one of the higher ups. Perilous is above him, but he's like one of the leaders of the legions, at this gate that they're trying to prevent the Marat from breaking through, to that they don't kill the people. There's so much that happens in this. I'm not going to go into all of the details in this video, but even I just started describing, I'm like, wait, to give more context, to just keep going, there's so much in this book. But Giraldi and Amara are talking to each other on top of the wall, and this is like they think they're done. They think they're gonna die at this point. There is zero hope for them. And so Giraldi then, like, he's talking to her, and he just like absently, he's described as absently, he just flicks his sword, and he cuts off the head of someone who was trying to like come up. Like, he just is that good. And that was really enjoyable to read. And then even more so, there's this example of when Perilous and Aldrich fight, and Aldrich is like known. So like when Perilous first sees Aldrich, he's like, Aldrich ex Gladius, like he knows him. And also, that's so Roman. Like, I thought that was Roman sounding. I remember reading that one and being like, that's Roman sounding. But, and like Aquitaine's another name, obviously, is very Roman sounding, and they're Legion and Legionnaires. But that's so, I didn't realize it was like that inspired. I don't know. I didn't really give it much thought. I just was like, oh, makes sense. A lot of people draw from older civilizations, for these fantasy novels and such. So I just figured that was that. But Aldrich ex Gladius is like really well known. Perilous knows him right away, and Perilous is a really great swordsman as well. He's not as well known. Like, Aldrich's like, and I don't even know you, bro. So it's like this really great moment. The two of them fighting is so cool, and how it's written and the way that they go, because they're both like top swordsmen. And so it's this back and forth that is just so fascinating to read. And I love how he wrote it, like the way that he writes the sword fights and the other fights. Like, there's this big battle going on, there's a lot of different side things happening, like still switching between all the characters, everyone has their own shit going on, and every single thing is just written with this style that I really, really enjoyed. I think that is what drew me in the most. Like, obviously I talked about the characters, but it's how the characters are written in this style that Jim Butcher has. And I'd be intrigued to see how it follows through in the rest of the series, and how each of the characters stay relevant, because the end of this book kind of puts people on very different paths. And obviously Tavi, our lead guy, he's going away he's an academ now, so he's going to go study, and that's in like the city, so he's going to be away from everyone else. Besides, Amara will be, traveling, but I don't know how that's gonna exactly go. And also, like, one thing did feel a little too convenient in it, where like at that ending, like Amara, he's like, oh no, you'll need a special courier to send info to you, and so obviously Amara is gonna be that, and Amara and Bernard got their cute little romance going that I do really like. I like that a lot. Also intrigued to see how Tavi and Katai's relationship go. Katai is the daughter of Daroga, who is the head of the Gargant clan of the Marat. So that's going to be a whole thing, I'm sure. That's going to continue and have a big impact. And even just the Marat people in general, I thought were so fascinating. It's obviously, drawn from a few inspirations. But the fact that they like eat people alive, I think is really just fascinating. Like, they get the strength from them, and I'm sure that's based on different things, like, in different cultures and histories. They really make you like these characters like Daroga and Katai and such, but then they're still like, yeah, cannibalism, good. And that's like the only hesitation. I'm like, it's like a little odd to me. It's like I want to really like these characters and root for them, but like they be cannibals. So, and they like eat people alive. Like they don't even like wait till they're dead and eat them. Like, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot, you know? That's a lot. And so, I'm intrigued to see how that develops and how that goes. Cause I mean, Tavi definitely isn't for them eating people. And if he's going to end up in a relationship with Katai, like how are they each going to influence each other? How are the Marat people going to influence the Alaran people? And how are the Alarans going to influence the Marat? And I'm really intrigued to see how that will progress because there's a lot of directions that could go. But Daroga, great character, really enjoyed him, and I think that he does a really good job of just showing like everyone's people, because they definitely the Marauder are viewed as this big other whenever they're first introduced, and Daroga is the key one to sort of bridge that gap, I think, to make it seem like less other. I think even like the rest of the Marat, how they're described are pretty like, how it's written is like, making them different from the Alaran people. And Daroga is the only one that starts to like really break down those walls for us, and then it opens up cracks where you can see it in other characters as well in the Marat tribes. But just intrigued to see how that'll continue to develop because I think those are cool characters. And I didn't even talk about Asana yet. She is a badass, and Odiana is so intriguing to me. Also really fascinating me that their names are similar and they're both water Furies. Oh my god, I haven't even talked about Furies yet. So let's go into the Pokemon side of things. So obviously Pokemon is brought through in this Furies. And so the Furies are these sort of like beings that are the elements. So there's like water Furies, wind Furies, metal Furies, ground Furies, I probably missed Fire Furies. There's Furies for all the different types, and every person has like their own Fury, and they have names. Like Amara has Cyrus, who's her Wind Fury. Asana has Rill, who's her Water Fury. Like they all have their own Furies who come and have different purposes, and some lean towards other things more. Like some Furies are more inclined for healing, and others are not as much. Some ground ones are more like some are more battle ready, and some are not battle Furies. And so it's definitely intriguing to see that and now know that that was Pokemon was like the base of that is so wild to me. Because I think he really did completely change it off Pokemon. Obviously they're not kept in anything. They're kind of free floating. It's like they call them whenever they want to use them, and they come and they help out, and they don't have like a specific set of moves or anything. They just can do things, like they're just magical, and it's a stronger mix of like the human and the Furies doing it together. Like it's not as much just like Rill do this, like, but it's like let me focus. And sometimes it is that does happen where she's just like Rill choke a bitch, and Rill goes in and suffocates the person and fills their lungs with water. And then but then there's also times like when she's healing, specifically when she's healing Bernard after he like dies, she's right there with it. Like she goes into Rill and she is like going through the body and she's losing herself in it. Like it's very dangerous. And so there's different levels of that, of how interactive that is and how much it is also the human and how much it is the human Fury relationship. It's like so early. Why am I yawning? I got like 9 hours of sleep. Okay, I think I'm not spoiling anymore. So we're done with spoiler talk, but a few additional thoughts. One is I would say one of the key differences between this and Wheel of Time for me as a reader was Wheel of Time was slow. It took a while to get the ball rolling. Once the ball got rolling, real interesting. But it was hard to get into it in the initial bit of reading it, which is one of the reasons it took me so long to read that book, because it just started so slow. While this one just fucking jumped in, man. Like you are thrown in pretty quickly, and there is immediately so much happening. And I think that was really intriguing, and that worked better for me for like getting into it initially. It made it so I could just read through it a lot easier. But yeah, this is potentially my favorite book of the year so far. I have to do a reflection. We're going to do a full year reflection start of Jan for however many books I end up getting through, which this is my 9th book now with the audiobooks I finished. I am nearly done listening to Interview with a Vampire, which I think will be number 10. And I have started on my next physical book as well that I'll show off in a moment. But yeah, final thoughts. I think I know I'm gonna start rating. I don't know how if I'm gonna continue always rating, but for right now, I give Furies of Calderon a 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved it. I think that it was so enjoyable to read. It's not perfect. There's some wording, some flaws in it, but overall, it was a really really great book, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of them. I debate between 4 and 4.5 stars for telling you how I feel, but yeah, so this is book 1 of Codex Alera. I need to look into getting the rest of the books so I can read those ones as well. That'll probably be next year because I am traveling for the next month, so I won't be able to read as much. I'm looking into seeing if I can maybe bring my Kindle or something like that. Might be easier than bringing books, but I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to read, to be honest. But we'll see. My goal is I'll definitely listen to some more audiobooks. I just downloaded a Christmassy audiobook, so I'm looking forward to that for Christmas vibes. But before we get into Christmas, I was hoping I would finish Furies of Calderon sooner so I could read this a bit more fully in the fall, but I have started Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice by Katie Cicatelli Cook. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but yeah, I got this cute version. It was one of the $5 books for the fall from Barnes and Noble Cafe. It has this cute little side. It's like very shimmery, very fun. It's interesting so far. I'm just started it, as you can see, or maybe you cannot see. I've just started it. I'm only on page 22 right now. It's very much so a high schooler. So our lead character in this is a sophomore in high school. But yeah, so it's interesting for me now being in my late 20s reading this. It's really my first time reading, I think, a character this young that is acting this young, because obviously like Tavi is like 15 in Furies of Calderon, but Tavi is a very mature 15-year-old. I cannot necessarily say the same for Lucy here. She is a little bit more of like a younger sophomore in high school. And so I'm intrigued to read the rest of this book. I think it'll be a very fun, quick read for me is my goal. I leave on Sunday, and it is currently Tuesday when I am recording this, and I leave the following Sunday. So my goal is to finish this before I leave. Fingers crossed, y'all. Wish me luck. I also got a lot of other things I gotta do before I leave. So yeah, just wish me luck on that. And if this is ready, I'm hoping I can post this video during Thanksgiving week, which will be when I'm gone. I'll be traveling beginning of that week, and then so hopefully this will go up then so it can still meet the fall deadline. And then my next one will probably be end of December, and we'll be talking about a Christmassy book. All right, though, that is all for my video for Furies of Calderon, and thank you all so much for watching. I wish I didn't like the book as much, because I'm like, so my last book I said I am in misery for misery, but now I'm like, oh, I'm furious, but I'm not furious. I'm very happy about the book, and only thing I'm furious about is that I can't read the others sooner. But yeah, that has been all for today. Let me know if you've ever read Furies of Calderon, what your thoughts below are, or Pumpkin Spice Everything Nice. Let me know. And also let me know what your favorite books are, and if you have any suggestions for me for books. I am thinking about doing maybe a bit more formal of a book club next year, potentially even over on our main channel where we'll have one book a month. But yeah, I'll keep y'all posted on the updates for that. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good night, good morning, damn good time. Bye.